We're getting close to the end here, and this is your report card. So let's measure, right? And this is a principle that we have to hone in on, and we sometimes don't like this because the numbers could be scary. You know, the results could be scary. The last video we talked about, we said, hey, if there's sickness, if there's disease, if there's things that are brewing in there, we have to know. We have to measure. In life, anything that we're focused on, anything that we're measuring, those things are the things that grow, that expand. If you're not measuring, if you're not determining where you are, how do we know where we have to go? So today the report card is exactly that. We have to measure where we're at. But be careful when you're measuring, because this is the biggest mistake I see people make when they're measuring. They measure, there's a gap you measure, and I'll explain the gap, but there's really more than one gap. There's two gaps you have to measure, and there's two gaps you want to be focused on. There's a growth gap, and there's a gratitude gap. What does this mean? Let's just use a simple example that I want to lose 10 pounds. And I've already been doing some things, and I've lost some weight, but I want to lose 10 more pounds. So we're in the gap. Let's say I weigh myself and I weigh 200 pounds. And I want to be at 190 pounds. So the first gap that I measure is, well, I want to be at a 190. I want to be over there. That's my growth gap. And typically what we do in society in general, we're always focused on the growth gap. We're always focused on what we don't have yet, what we need to accomplish, where we're going. And the problem with that is that you're always going to be in a place of defeat. You're always looking ahead, and you're never feeling empowered of what you've done and how you've gotten to where you are now. So what I propose is this. You have to measure that gap. You have to know that's there. You have to know where you're going. Absolutely. You have to know. But we can't forget that there's another gap, and that's the gratitude gap. That's the gap that looks back, right? And looks at the where I came from. I was at 200 pounds. I need to be grateful that I did make some changes. That is 10 pounds that I had on before. Let me be grateful for where I've come from and still look at, hey, where I want to go. And when you get this balance right, when you get the gratitude with the growth balance right, that's when you can be present, you can be in the moment and enjoying life on a daily basis. Every one of us can do this. Every one of us have been somewhere, have had some struggles that we've gotten through, and we can look back and there's a 100 different things that you can be grateful for. But we need to measure, and we have to look forward to look at where we're going, because if we don't ever look forward, how do you know where you're going to end up? So this video, it's measure the gap. It's your report card. If there's something in there, something brewing, if you know that there's something that has to change, and all of us have something to change, then my suggestion is that you go and you measure where you're at. Measure where you're at and where you want to be. And don't ever forget to be grateful from where you came from and the changes you have made to this point. So that's your report card. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking with your career specialist, with your guidance counselor. Before we let you off to the world out there, we want to sit down with you and give you some guidance on how do you make this all happen and how do you stay successful.